Hello again, folks, and welcome back to the quiet and peaceful upper Antarctic plateau in the midst of an ancient city where we find a portion of our investigators standing around the unconscious but apparently still alive body of, uh, well, he was calling himself Williams, but of course we all now know that it was Dyer. Um, it was Dyer all along. And so we might as well just go around the plaza, as it were, and see all we have. So, Keegan, who are you bringing along today? If not both.
Regrettably, Leonard Warwick, engineer, he's used to nice logical maths, statics problems, physics, all of that. This non-Euclidean geometry, it's a bit of a challenge. Also, now my mic's in the right place, so sorry about that.
It's been a hot minute,
He is having a bad mental health day.
and I think it's only about to get better. Um, Meanwhile, over in the corner with the camera, Nathan.
Valentina is back and ready. Sees that everything went well last time. We all seem to be doing well. However, they'll be missing a plane. It looks like. So we'll see how that goes.
Well, and since fortunately we're missing a plane but not a penguin, how is Tomboy doing?
Big Sue's is great. We're ready to get this figured out and make sure and get myself and Tiny home back to Alaska as soon as possible at this point.
Superb, and I'm sure that uh, our good Dr. Tremblay is with you every single step of the way, at least as far as getting to Alaska goes. Uh, so, just to reset the scene, um, you have just um, had a bit of a conversation with Mr. Dyer, during which he slipped and fell and hit his head. So he has been taken into the camp where he's now lying unconscious. When from outside and across the plaza, you hear a gunshot. Not surprisingly, you all rush out and look out through the wind blowing snow, and you're possibly, or possibly not, we shall see, somewhat shocked to see two flying, about man-sized forms holding something between them, flying off in the distance. Um, Unsurprisingly, this does give rise to the need for a sanity check.
I didn't think penguins could fly.
They're they're they're, well, they're sort of triangular in shape, but sort of cones. But they are quite flappy. So possibly it's something wearing a conical piece of clothing of some kind. Not quite sure.
So with Leonard's failure, uh, Leonard, no matter how much is loses is going to, at the very least, be back into a bout of sanity. The question is how much he loses, because I believe this is from a different source, so he could, in fact, gain a new phobia out of this.
Mhm.
Because, yeah, he is still in the indefinite sanity point that will continue until he gets to rest up somewhere safe.
Indeed. I'm trying to recall. Did we?
Big Zeus could be the strange mental rock of the team.
Does
The
appear to be.
secret is you have the therapy animals.
Unless you get a phobia of birds.
Hey, there's the dogs too. Suze has all the ESAs.
I just got to pair you all up with a sled dog to keep you all on the right track.
Yep. So Seuss takes this completely in her stride. However, Leonard and Valentina are going to need to roll a d6.
Huh. 1.
Five.
Well,
Five is a significant number in losing sanity.
it is. So the question is, how intelligent does Leonard feel?
I just realized I don't think we did
Or we're just not gonna
the
make it
intelligence check
through
last
the
time I
day.
lost. That being said, I lost so much it shouldn't have mattered.
Yeah, you went straight you went straight through temporary insanity into indefinite.
I rolled a 91 in intelligence.
So somehow, with everything else going on, um, Leonard does end up having um, a bout.
So Leonard's current issue is when his insanity hits is he has a very deep fear of being touched, which means if anyone gets near them, he's going to be stumbling back. Uh, there's uh, very much trying to get away. Uh, the thing that there's a little bit of a help here that we're kind of spread out, but he is like he does not want that thing to touch him. He does not want any of you to touch him.
So yes, I think Leonard briefly just wanders out onto the plaza to try to just distance himself from anything capable of touching him. As you see what turns out to be Professor Stark, Professor Starkweather, being held aloft by these two flying, many-headed things.
Do they look like the thing that the autopsy was done on?
Exactly like the things the autopsies were done on.
Oh, lordy. And be gone.
And
And
so,
we lose the
yeah,
for
interesting
clarification, we
was
lost the D6 amount of sanity points, right?
What's that?
With the D6, that's how much we lost, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Perfect.
Yep.
Hey, went from 33 to 28. It's a good day.
Well, that's a good number to go to because
Is
that's
that
5,
more than a
and I
fifth
think
for the day?
so. I think yes, you're already indefinite, so it doesn't really matter if you get another indefinite. Uh, that's the good news is you can't actually take whilst you're indefinite, you are immune to further further bouts apart from the ones you get from taking sanity sanity damage.
Oh, for some reason
Valentine,
I thought I could stack. I thought they would stack if they're from different sources. Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, no,
I'm just
you're
gonna have more issues with this same thing getting worse and worse, and then I'm gonna die.
and
So
interestingly here, you don't actually take a mega bout here because you just you you don't even manage in your current state to
I
make
can't comprehend what I'm seeing. It doesn't make sense.
exactly
It's sunspots.
you
It's
don't
sunspots.
realize how impossible what you're seeing actually is.
No, guys, the plane didn't blow up. It's flying off over there.
Exactly.
You're absolutely right, Leonard. Now we need to go get the plane
Leonard's
because the
having
Va-
some
plane just
quiet
took
time
off with
away from
our
y'all.
meal ticket.
Uh,
Valentina's going to rush that direction to see if they drop him or where they go, or if they're flying towards that opening anyway.
yeah, well, they've climbed up a little bit up into the air as well, so
Okay.
going over. I should really have Valentina on there, but apparently I don't. That's my bad. Where are we, Valentina? Come on, there we go. So Valentina is rushing around. Um, Valentina, why don't you go ahead and roll navigate?
Ooh. What do I have for navigate? Probably base. Um, yep, base 10. So we'll see what happens. Maybe. Yeah, 93 will not get there.
Okay, well, it's better than a fumble.
Mm-hmm.
So as he passes more or less straight overhead, Starkweather does manage to get off another shot, seemingly to no effect. As
Can,
Professor Moore comes
can I try
out.
to
Sure,
throw like an ice clod at them?
they're about 400 yards away at the moment.
Well, that won't work. Okay.
Now, Susie's strong, but they're probably going to pass within about 200 yards at the closest sort of straight line.
If anybody
Um,
could do it, it'd be Suze. So
yeah,
Yeah, but that's still pretty out there.
exactly. Um, so Professor Moore comes running out and goes, "Oh, crikey, it's the captain! He's alive! We've got to save him!" Um, then rushes back in and has a quick word with good old Halperin.
I just realized it was the one we didn't like, and now I really don't care if he lives or dies. So
Well, some would say it's on lookout if he goes running off into the middle of an ice field. Um, and Halperin says, "Well, we can be. I can have the Weddell remaining Boeing up in maybe about an hour. They're not going terribly fast. Let's have a look and see how Halperin's, Halperin's navigate is. Ooh, hard success. Okay.
Yum yum.
And he goes, "Well, I'll certainly fly off." I don't know. It turns to um, the three of you. I forget? Do any of you happen to have any pilot capabilities?
You said pilot
Uh,
capabilities? Oh, 1 second.
outside of a sled or a sledge, not really.
Not even close. Not even a little bit for Valentina.
Doesn't look like I had to check in multiple places because I some stuff's under drive, some stuff's under pilot. No, he can. Leonard can fix the planes. Probably not the one that blew up. There's a shortage of materials, but he can try.
The Dyer did a remarkably good job of increasing the parts per million on that one.
Yeah.
Um, and so Professor Moore says, "Well, why don't the three of you go and take a look to see where Dyer came from? As long as you're back in say an hour, um, if there's anything out there, I'm sure he must have had a camp not too far away.
Oh,
Given that
so
he's not carrying any real travel gear, um, and we'll get the planes ready in the meanwhile."
okay. You said the tracks led towards that center circle again.
Yeah, and as you head off that way, it actually goes past it. Um, Up a ways, and you come across a a small camp, seemingly just a few paces away from where Starkweather was grabbed. You see, you manage to find a small man-hauled sled, a pair of snowshoes, an empty oxygen tank, half a dozen blocks of pemmican and some biscuits, a Nansen stove, some fuel tins, toiletries, dishes, um, a small kit bag that it turns out has an ammo clip for a Luger, a set of pencils with a sketch pad, a notebook, and a four-ring binder containing a stapled sheaf of papers.
So I thought that he was came on the planes with us. He was already out here.
He was the pilot of the Lexington expedition,
Okay.
and if you recall, Acacia took off before you did to head up here with a few of the Germans,
Mm.
but you saw no sign of them. You lost track of them, as it were, during the flight up.
Okay. Valentina would flip through that sketch pad.
It is it's a cheaply made pad of heavy paper filled with sketches of a lot of the wall cartouches and the bands that you've seen around the city. Um, there's apparently, given the fact that it's most of it is in German, you suspect that it's Herr Dr. Meyer, who's seemingly gone to some trouble to try to decode the written form of the Elder Things language. So there's somewhat of a symbol vocabulary of some common mural elements and the dot patterns that seem to be associated with them. It's just basic nouns and verbs. So things, build, shoggoth, kill. Um,
But it's a thing from Elder Thing to German. So if we don't know
yeah,
German, it's not going to help us out right now. Okay.
exactly.
All right. Hopefully somebody knows German other than the Germans, I guess. I will stick that in my bag. So make sure we have that. Is the notebook a handout or no?
Not per se,
Okay.
but whilst you're looking at the sketch pad, I'm guessing that Big Suze is looking through this once fine leather-bound notebook, but it's definitely seen better days. Um,
Yep.
There's only notes in the first third.
Okay.
It's crabbed, fragmentary notes written by, by Danforth, not Dyer. Um, there's references to large numbers of books of witchcraft and sorcery of various degrees of believability and usefulness. Um, there is a note towards the back of um, how to show them why, which seems to be um, a ritual derived from Middle German witchcraft ceremonies where the hair, nails, and wastes of a chosen victim is mixed with several herbs and ashes, um, enchanted and fed back to the victim daily for 13 days.
Oh, that's interesting. Uh, You said that's like the back page in the book?
The back few pages, yeah.
Okay. All right, interesting.
It, it,
I'll
it,
go ahead and put the book in my pack for the
yeah.
moment.
So yeah, it's Danforth's notebook. The incoherent ramblings of a disturbed amateur occultist and would-be savior of the world, written in fragmentary English, +4 to occult skill, no Cthulhu mythos, no sanity loss, one spell, nightmares.
Is that what I pick up from looking at
Yeah,
it? Okay, so +4 to occult and the skill nightmare and the magic spell nightmares.
yep.
Interesting. Okay, we'll have to figure out get me stats on that later then.
And I do have now. I need to check to see. One more thing, which is I do believe I have a handout for. I've just got to make sure I find the right one. Uh, here. Location. Yeah. English. Go. There is also a ring binder that contains quite a few pages. That is now in the handout section under PIM Complete Narrative. So I'm not going to worry about having people read it right this second clearly, because that would take half the session. But as background over the next few weeks, feel free to peruse that at your leisure. Which is, yes, interestingly, it does have a number of stamps talking about um, having been seen by oh, excuse me, uh,
Bless you.
various German officials, um, including the names of some people that you recognize from the German expedition. Just to keep things interesting. From the Basmeier and Falken. Um, and so that's about all that you find at Danforth's camp.
Did you say there was a gun or just a clip?
Just a clip.
Okay.
Which is the handout that we're supposed to be perusing in our own time? I'm sorry.
PIM's complete.
Complete
Okay.
narrative.
I did find the right one. Thank you.
And you make your way back. Uh, Moore is, as ever, interested in the finds, um, but he suggests you take the text with you, uh, since you'll, who knows how long you'll be in pursuit, as it were. The good news is that Halprin will probably be able to fly quite significantly faster than the Elder Things were dragging Starkweather, so unless they've gone to ground early on, you should be able to catch up. Yeah, yeah. Technicalities are continuing, it seems. Oh, there we go. So yes, you should be able to catch up in reasonable time.
Are we able to take everybody in pursuit on this plane? Do we have enough
It
room?
will take the three of you, Tremblay and Edgeforth as well, I think.
And a penguin.
The,
Or
the,
are we leaving
the,
the penguin here?
So what about everyone else?
the, the remainder will stay behind here at camp. As long as you can get back within, say, 36 hours, they should have enough oxygen to.
Okay, so we're shuttling. Okay.
Yeah.
Start walking back. Sled down the mountain.
Mhm.
Uh, hmm. Well, if that's what they
I
want us to
mean,
do, I guess that's what we're doing.
if running sleds is an option, Big Suze would start running sleds in order to help ease the suffering. But I'm not for sure if we would be able to get back in time with if we only have 36 hours of oxygen.
No.
Yeah, it's a little bit unsure. I mean, without knowing how far the things are going, it's a well, once things are set up. Um, so you get yourselves situated. Halperin, Halperin, where are you? There's Halperin. And you follow. Halperin took a course on them that was basically going northwestward, so following the line of the mountains. Um, Go ahead and make idea rolls.
Education check, right?
Sorry, intelligence.
Okay. Oh, yeah, education's no, and is idea.
I rolled well on
Oh,
that
cool.
one.
I'll let you have it and won't burn a whole bunch of luck for it.
So, Leonard, you're heading off, you have this sort of itch at the back of your neck that there's something about the direction that you're following the elder things in, and you're reminded of one of the murals that was in the large spiral hole in the middle of the plaza that you went down and came back up, that seemed to talk about something being up to the north that the inhabitants were very afraid of.
Are we flying north?
You're heading sort of northwest. It's you do notice that in that direction, somewhat on the horizon, a little ways away, is what appears to be uh, a quite noticeable set of storm clouds, which is unnerving because you haven't really come across violent weather other than, I mean, yes, high winds and so forth. And the plane is certainly bucking about underneath you. Um, but you do seem to be heading towards this large stationary uh, wind snowstorm effect on the horizon.
Um, I so Leonard is not feeling so great about being in the airplane. It is very crowded in here. He's not in the active bout of madness. He's in the indefinite, stable period. We'll call it that. But he's in a cramped place where it's not so much claustrophobic, but very hard to avoid the people. So he's having trouble. We'll go with. And this is kind of making him antsy. Is this a setup where there's like the helicopter where there's the internal radio, or I don't care. I don't know how loud these planes would be.
It's quite loud in here since it's two prop uh,
Right.
two prop setup, but it's you can allow conversation or shout kind of.
Uh, he wants to try to like the pilot's gonna hate this because no one likes a backseat driver, but he's gonna say like, hey, look, I know this got to be on your radar, but we came across signs saying that there's something like particularly bad near where that storm's going. Uh, just I think the storm might be worse than it appears. Just I you got uh whatever you need to do to be careful. Just I think that storm's gonna be way worse than it looks, and it already. I really don't want to go down, man. He's not necessarily calmly saying this either. There's that kind of like slight hard edge as he's trying to come across reasonable. Um, but it hasn't been a great 24 hours for him. And for the most part, you all can probably hear him being like, um, again, not trying to tell you to do your job, but and he'll eventually realize he's being really obnoxious to the pilot and try to come back to his seat and kind of sit there and fidget.
Um, Tell you what, why don't you make an intimidate roll?
I'm so gonna fail this. Though he's not necessarily trying to intimidate, so that's perfectly
Yeah,
fine.
yeah, no. It's more sort of what the overall effect on Halperin is. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
Halperin just turns around and says, "Oh, don't you worry. I'm concentrating on just trying to keep us upright right now. So yeah, I don't like to look at that either."
all right. I'm glad we're on the same page.
Um, Now I suspect I do know that you had brought binoculars with you on the flight up, so I think it's reasonable that you have some along. So I am going to say that you've been going for about half an hour when you get to make spot hidden rolls.
Is that for
Leonard's
all
too
of us or
preoccupied.
just Warwick?
Yeah,
The binoculars?
that's for all of you.
Leonard is too preoccupied with the what could be hiding in the storm to actually see what could be hiding in the storm.
That's fair. And as ever, it's Valentina who, probably through the binoculars, um, first spots your quarry, as it were. A small set of specks struggling against the cloud mass of the storm front, miles ahead of you still. But they're doing maybe 15 miles an hour. You're doing 60 miles an hour. So you're gonna catch up with them here quite quickly. You do make out a small limp form that's suspended between the two flying shapes that you take to be Starkweather. As to whether he's still alive or not, you got no way of really knowing whether, for example, did he is he still carrying his oxygen tube? If he's not, that wouldn't be good news. But you can always hope, or hope not. I mean, as people wish. And Halperin turns around and says, we're going to overtake them here pretty quickly. I think if they catch on to the fact that we're following them, if they drop him, it's all over. I think what we need to do,
Fly casual.
like, yeah, I'll see what I can do when he starts fiddling with the controls, and you can hear the engines kind of back off from full throttle back to a far slower RPM setting. As you feel yourself slow down, and you notice that he's starting to basically zigzag or make long S curves to, as he says, to keep us from stalling. We wouldn't want to crash up here, now would we?
Preferably not.
Definitely not.
And it's but a few minutes that something catches your attention as you look at the direction that the things are flying, in that you see what is apparently a secluded valley half lost in the edges of the storm. Um, Little more than a dark gash in the barren plateau, but within that gash is a faint and pulsing flicker of electric blue that somehow just draws the eye and the mind and burns its image into your memory. Um, and beyond that valley, behind the great roiling wall of blackness and storm clouds, are the ever more fantastic spires and peaks of the Western Range. Even the Mountains of Madness pale in comparison. They're higher, more angular still, reaching upwards into the heaven like slate black fangs. They shine with the clear brilliance of sunlight unmuted by the thickness of the air, as if the mighty range thrusts up into the very edges of space itself. But it's not their height that sends shivers down your spine, but that terrible sense of design in their arrangements. The mountains erupt stark, black and bare, without the caves and incrustations that mark the eastern range that you came up. But they're all disturbingly regular. There's an evenness of spacing and shape that just suggests a malignant and powerful guiding hand. You rise over the cloudy maelstrom like gigantic fingers cupping it between them as if to guard it from harm. Go ahead and make a hard power roll.
Okay.
Well, that's a horse of a different color.
Yeah, I expected many possibilities, but that was not on the list. Where are we?
Okay, everybody. So yeah, it's
I can spend luck to make that
that
if
that
that's
that's
a good
okay.
Yeah,
idea. Okay.
saying
I wouldn't claim that this is a good idea at this point.
Okay.
In fairness, but
I'm
Because
like
I
30,
grabbed
40
I
points
kind
off.
of wanna.
So.
I kind of want to do the base. That's
the
fine. So
the
yeah, I'll spend the 22 points
okay,
to make it a hard success.
absolutely. So for Seuss, the sense that sense of pattern and structure in something so enormous is just profoundly unnerving. It's you can't help but feel that some terrible purpose would be revealed if you only could understand how or why. Now, but that's not all. Um, as you're making your way up and you're starting to you keep zigzagging behind the flying elder things. Um, you suddenly see a metallic glint behind you by about a mile or two and a little bit below. And you realize that it's Lexington's aircraft, seemingly also on the trail. And it does indeed turn out to be the Bell, um, as it's known. As it catches up to you, since you're flying quite slow, it comes up alongside, waggles its wings, then drops back to fly beside you, about 100 yards off your left wingtip. Um, you look over the plane, and it's definitely seen some trouble. The metal on the underside is scratched and dented below the wing. The landing struts and skis are bent and out of true. There's been some repairs made. I mean, there's splints of wood and metal, and there are many more cables holding things in place than there probably should be. Um, you can dimly see in the cockpit of the Lexington now. The the Bell is one of those where the cabin and the cockpit sit somewhat above the main body of the plane, and you can clearly see you what was his name? Bauman. Yes, that was it. Um, the German pilot who took off with Lexington and Herr Meyer and so forth. Um, the Bell doesn't respond to any call to the radio calls that Halperin tries to make, but Bauman does respond to his hand gestures, where he grins and waves and points ahead up towards the valley, making flapping motions with his hands. Um, it takes about another hour and 15 minutes or so before the elder things start to descend, and you come into this valley. Let's see if. There we go. Uh, with a. It's a rough glacial valley with a massive black um, five-sided tower sitting in the middle of it with that bright blue light shining from the top of it. Um, you overfly the area, and you don't really find the ground is just too uneven to probably make a safe landing. The elder things that land up by the tower and disappear in the shadow of it. So what you end up doing is you find a riverbed off to the side, about a mile or so away, with a low pass that looks like it should be possible to make your way across, and you come in to land there. If all goes well, let's see how. Oh, okay, yeah. It's. I mean, it's not the smoothest landing you've ever had, but it's a landing that you walk away from, so it counts as a good landing. Um, Meanwhile, so you go and land, and you start to come out of the plane. Um, as you see the bell, piloted by Bowman, um, coming around and making a run to come in to land as well. However, as he starts to make his approach, there's a blue-white flicker from the peak of the tower, like the opening of a luminous eye. The storm clouds that fill the sky ahead appear to curdle and bulge outward, as if some mighty beast had passed near and disturbed them. You can feel the air thicken, and it almost grows solid, trapping the light like amber in a glass, and there's an intangible wave of distortion that sweeps out from the storm, rippling across the valley and beyond, passing silently through you and your plane. You feel yourself briefly twisted in some horrifying and intangible fashion. The edges of the world run and smear, the horizon blurs, the mountains rise and fall in an instant, the very land churning and heaving like a live thing. images of this place in 1,000 bygone eons run together and overlap, and then are gone. Everything is as it was before. And in that moment, you see what happens to the bell. You see it stretch and writhe, its outlines running strangely, and then the effect's past. The aircraft shears violently off to the side and seems to be on the verge of falling out of the sky, but then it lands fast and hard, skidding and slewing off to the left before coming to a stop. And you can all make sanity rolls.
Is a hard success better?
Regular success would be fine.
Okay, I have a regular success.
So can luck be spent on sanity rolls?
Unfortunately, not unless you happen to be called.
Oh yeah, Valentina
Oh,
has the pulse
Valentina.
thing for that.
Yeah.
Then Stoddard fails, probably unsurprisingly, uh, by 9, so relatively close.
Yeah.
Should I make an intelligence roll?
No. It's just a. It's just a D3.
Just a D3. He is like he is basically pressed up as close as he can get, like to the door, waiting to get out because he don't want to be near any of y'all. Like they're too big, and that penguin is freaking him the out right now. Doesn't matter what he loses. It doesn't matter. Only one, so it doesn't matter. He's still indefinitely insane. His fear, he is, like I said, it's not claustrophobia, but he's stuck in here with all you. And people have limbs and they flail. And I don't think Tiny's too happy with all of this either. Oh God, I hope Tiny doesn't have a bout of insanity.
Oh,
I don't think Tiny was watching the plane, so we're good.
Yeah, well, it's even Tiny is clearly taken aback by the fact that reality has gone on the blink again.
Look, being a penguin's not easy.
It's tough. Eat
So-
fish, swim, try not to get eaten by killer whales.
Or indeed elder things.
Elder things in this case.
So yes, Halperin cuts the fuel to the engines, and the airplane sighs into silence. The southern quiet ringing in your ears, and you can feel the plane just tremble slightly in the wind gusts. The land outside is stark and severe, blasted by ages of unending icy wind. The edge of the cloud wall looms stark high overhead to the west, above the row of ancient hills. Uh, just by you is, of course, the bell, and the entire plane is listing somewhat to the left. One ski is twisted out of true. However, coming out of it is some people you recognize.
So as soon as the plane lands, like Warwick is undogging the hatch and like almost falling out of the plane.
Yeah. So
He's not just like running away from it. He's probably actually staying against the side of the plane because reality blipped. Who knows what is out here? But it's the okay, not part of why no one's gonna like. So okay, I think I can breathe again, and he's gonna be taking a minute to kind of like try to. It's like the okay, I got this. He's trying to calm himself down right now. The people. He's going to take a little bit longer to register the familiar faces because not that important to him right now. They're not trying to eat him. Good.
So as you go to open the door, one of the Lexington members, one of their pilots, or Lexington's pilot rather, other pilot, uh, as opposed to Danforth, um, opens up as he's opening up the door as you get out and says, "Hello there. Well, fancy meeting you lot here."
So I think in that case, since there's someone right there, he's gonna kind of stump. There's gonna be kind of that like almost. It's gonna almost be comedic, like he was about to go out, and it's like that stumble, almost now falling backwards because he's not trying to fall on the person. Just surprise, because um. Okay, yeah, you're alive.
And
You're all
yeah,
alive. That's great.
and behind, somewhat behind him, you see um, two of the team members in the Barstein Maya expedition um, uniforms. Um, so probably Bauman, and who was the one you saw in the pilot seat, and Dr. Maya, and also, perhaps most interestingly, Miss Lexington herself.
I mean, it is her plane. So Warwick's gonna have that moment of like, God, so he goes, um, wow, yes, really glad to see you're all alive after what we've been through. Excuse me one moment. Valentina, Suze, look who's here. And he's gonna just kind of, I guess, shift to the side a little bit because, oh God, there's a, let's come out and, Lexington's crew is here.
Good for them. Good for them. We thought y'all were dead.
Well, uh, Priestley steps up and says, "Well, we almost were there for a bit, but Williams did drop us onto a nasty stretch of ragged ice, nearly ripped the bottom out of the plane when he took us down. We tinkered with it for a few hours, but we was pretty sure there was nothing we could do. He went to find you all. You didn't happen to see him, did you? We saw you land, but the radio doesn't work, so he went on foot. Um, anyway, after he left, Miss L let Bauman take a look, and he thought that he could patch things up. So the rest of us went exploring whilst he worked on the plane. Have you seen this place? It's the find of the century. I've got pictures they won't believe back home. Yes, sir. We're all of us going to be famous if we get home. That is. So
Yeah,
yes,
yeah. That last bit I think is a pretty important qualifier at this point.
he sort of looks up towards that large storm cloud sitting a mile or two up off to the west. Yeah, that's a bit of a shiver. Um, so yesterday we spotted one of Lake's monsters flying in the distance. He turns to Valentina and goes, one of those moments where I just wish I had my camera. I mean, living beings. I mean, the ones we found at Lake's Camp were what, millions of years old, like that city was? But here there's still some alive. And you know what? We think they built this place. Dr. Meyer, he points over to the guy, says the monsters have been living down here since the dinosaurs died off. Well, Bauman had the bell ready to go again a few hours ago. We were out taking pictures and samples of everything when we saw some more of those things carrying something heavy through the air. We were talking about finding their nest, or whatever you want to call it. And then you all flew by, headed that way, so we figured, well, we'll climb in and follow, and, well, here we are. So,
Yeah. That,
what all are you up to?
so we're following them carrying that something heavy. We think you might know that something heavy.
This is where Acacia sort of takes out her. You notice German-made breathing mask, and you can't help but notice that it fits a lot better than the stem pipes that you've got. Oh, so the elder ones have taken him. I'm actually sorry to hear that. We've never been friends, but I'm sure he would prefer a Christian burial at least. Would you mind waiting here a minute whilst I get my gun? Oh, absolutely. I'll help you find him if it's all right. He'll never live this one down.
Yeah, I think we can work with the acacia.
She wanders back towards. Oh, and she looks back and goes, like the penguin.
It's my penguin. His name's Tiny.
Right, she says, sort of professional disbelief in her voice. Um, she heads off and comes back out carrying a military rifle.
So Stoddard's looking not Stoddard, Warwick's looking a little just kind of like, what is with these people? Uh, with like, oh yeah, they went from we think they built this city to go to their nest. And he's like, are you listening to what you're saying? And he's just kind of got this look of like, what?
So you get a response from Dr. Maya. Um, we hear ourselves quite well now. We should perhaps be off. After all, the creatures have your employer, and who knows what they're up to. Is not so? If, after all, this is where they live and they are the last of their kind, there will doubtless be much to learn about them here. That light, the great tower, those are not the works of savages, but of a mighty civilization of great power. The knowledge of these things must be brought to the world. It is a shame that we may have to kill them. Think of the wonderful secrets they must know. And the last remaining German, Herr Rucker, turns to Dr. Meyer and says, this is a great danger to fight the creatures in their own place. We are all seeing that phenomenon in the air whilst we were landing, and I cannot guess what it was, but it's not good for us, Dr. Meyer. I hope you will be of the greatest caution in the fighting of these monsters and even in the exploring. The expedition is more important than the life of one man who must by now be dead from the frostbite and the wind, I think, if the creatures did not eat him. If you do not mind, I will examine the hills here while you are busy. The mountains are most unusual, very old, perhaps holding clues in their very ancient strata. Um, and Halperin says that, oh, I'll stay back and keep an eye on the Waddell. Needs tying down, and I can help Bauman fix up the bell. And you can't help but think back to that text that uh, Dr. Maya had given you back at Lake's camp as a passage, yes, eerily rings in your mind from it, where no more than a mile away, through blasts of snow and wind, yet clearly visible, was the image of a Titan tower, a lair of giants, dragons, or some other fabulous and abhorrent creature, for it was far too great to have been erected by mere human hands. It soared above us, hidden behind a swirling, freezing veil of ice and snow, taller than any medieval tower or citadel. There clung to this unholy edifice a hideous feeling of monstrousness, as if this were not something native to this earth, but an enormous, blasphemical Tower of Babel erected to mock God and all of his good works. So the group of you is down by the plains on what turns out to be an ancient riverbed. Um, that winds north and south, but there is a low rise that allows you to move over and then climb down into the valley proper, and then it's about a mile to the tower. The whole valley itself is about 3 miles long, the far end of it being obscured with fine blown snow. Um, but every now and then the haze clears for an instant, and you can see the far end of the valley rising to a deep saddleback pass between two higher hills, beyond which lies only storm. Um, the floor of the valley is just covered in white ice and snow layering on top of each other. You see the tower rising in full view, a huge pentagonal obelisk of dark stone. It's about the height of a 50-story building, but it's so broad at its base as if that it makes it seem squat. There's no color or image or any sign of a balcony or a window, just immense and incalculably old. You can barely see the light at the top of the tower as it flickers and shimmers, almost like a mirage, so dark a blue as to seem almost black. Yet it crawls about the peak of the obelisk like a wisp of St. Elmo's fire. Um, well, says Herr Meyer, let us be off. It's a long way to the tower, and your employer's life is at risk. All seems ready, so shall we proceed?
I think we shall.
So
Yep.
the first thing to do is to get down into the valley floor, which does need a little bit of caution because the rock of the valley sides is quite old and slick, eroded away by millions of years of exposure to wind and ice. There's few hand or footholds. It's not a deep valley, but still deep enough that a rolling fall would not be a good thing. Um, Go ahead and make luck rolls.
Where was that 3 when I needed it earlier? An extreme success? Yes, yes. So uh Warwick is like, there's a point where he's like almost like, maybe I should, like, he's like, I don't think I really want to go towards this. Like, maybe I should stay and fix the planes. And then he thinks about the fact that um one, he can't fly the plane if something bad happens. And two, chances of surviving are a lot better if he's with the group. So there's the, okay, we're and he is being extremely careful and metaphorically keeping all those digits crossed on this one as he makes his way through the treacherous terrain.
Indeed. And it's probably because of that exceeding care that he notices as you make your way up to the top of the saddle, that there is in fact a steep ramp um, that runs almost all the way up to the top that you can cut into with the various tools that you have along. Because I figure you'll have brought ice axes and stuff in as part of just the regular gear. That's reasonable. So you can basically cut yourself an easy way down um, to the floor of the area. Let me get a penguin. Um,
Did we take the penguin?
Maya, where is she? Acacia. I don't know. It might be a little bit
I think,
unwieldy in the terrain. You might want to leave it
yeah,
with the
my
upright.
gut instinct would be to leave Tiny on the plane. He gets to stay out of the cold and the wind and hang out with the mechanics.
Sounds like a perfect plan. And that way, when Halperin and Bauman need a little bit of help in lifting the wing of the bell to get underneath and put the ski on, they have they have a willing mechanical device, aka massive penguin, to perform that work.
Well trained, gigantic penguin.
hmm Um, so you make your way across the crystalline ice and snow towards the massive tower. Maya is quite happy to take the lead. And go ahead and make psychology rolls. Wow.
I was going to spend luck, but never mind.
Shockingly, Warwick succeeds on that
But yeah,
very well.
maybe it's because he's keeping. Maybe it's because of the drawings and the notepad. He's mentally just trying to listen to Maya muttering to himself in German every so often now and then, just trying to sort of kickstart his German skills, as it were, to be able to help to do the deciphering. But you very much get the sense that Herr Dr. Meyer is, to Leonard's point earlier, practically gung ho in his um, excitement and willingness to go and get this done. It's he has an air
Maybe a
about
little manic.
he, almost, and but it's not only that, it's that he has an air about him that he absolutely knows what he's doing. You get the sense that it's almost as if he's been here before, but clearly he hasn't, because how? But
Would it be that he read something that we read? Because we've seen the tower and something we read, right?
yeah, yeah, that bit is from the original Dia text.
Yeah. And we had Germans that stole that, correct? The what was that? What was stolen when the one guy
They
was
were
kidnapped in
trying to.
New York?
Yeah,
Yeah, we
Okay.
stopped the kidnapping and got the journal back, if I
We
remember
didn't.
right.
We did
well,
not get the journal back. I don't
no,
believe.
Oh, yeah,
but
yeah.
you have a feeling that that's possibly what Danforth was carrying around, or that's in that ring binder.
Mm,
And in fact, if you, I mean, you've spent. It took you about 2.5 hours to fly up here,
mm-hmm.
and during that time, it's not unreasonable that somebody has sat down and at least skimmed through that document. So, in as characters, um, that if that appears to be the missing extra chapter or chapters
Oh.
of from the end of the tale of Pym
Mm-hmm.
that Lexington had the Lexington Senior had tried to
Okay.
sell. Yeah, that whole
I
thing.
think I keep getting the two books mixed up. So
Not impossible.
we'll have to keep an eye on them. Anyway.
Yeah,
And
Warwick is not. He's like, okay, right now this is working in our favor, but this guy, I'm not so certain this guy has necessarily got any our well-being in minds. If it in any way hinders his own goals, and his goals might not be favorable to us. So there's that, like, okay, what am I gonna have to run sort of feeling creeping up over him.
I mean, if it goes poorly, we'll just kill him. We haven't killed anyone yet as a team.
true. Yeah, you even, yeah, you manage you managed not to actually kill the German assailants, if I recall.
Just got real close. I did stab the guy on the boat. I did kill him. Okay, I killed
No,
someone.
yeah,
I
that's
accidentally gutted that poor dude because I like crit success on the roll.
well. I mean, when you're wielding a knife, every now and then you hit a kidney. It's these things happen.
Exactly. Exactly. There we go. Now we're caught up on lore.
So you make your way over to the area around this obelisk. And as you do so, you do note the the ground has been disturbed quite frequently, as though uh, beings have come, been and gone multiple times over time. So um, there's almost a path um, leading off or leading to the tower, depending on how you look at it, um, towards the big storm cloud. Also, as you come into the tower, let's have a look. We want. So at each of the corners, there are openings that lead in. And I, if you wander around the entire base of the tower, um, you do see that there is an area around the back of the tower where there is a large crack that has been rent in the side wall some ways up, sort of in the upper reaches, where the wall has fallen in on itself and is basically there's been something has happened to it to cause structural damage. Um,
As we approach the tower, Valentina would be taking pictures of it just to make
Absolutely.
sure that she gets a couple of good ones.
Yep. It's the, which and you look in through the um, the openings as Dr. Meyer leads the way, having lit a one of the an electrical torch because it is very dark in there. As you come in through these tall, narrow archways made of charcoal grey stone, um, the archway is about 3 yards high, slightly less than 2 yards wide, and is in fact the top of a ramp of ancient black stone that slants downwards, um, some unknown distance ahead of you. The stones here are smooth and clean, with faint, slick pittings here and there along the surface. Frost has settled quite thickly in the corners and hallways down the walls, and grows thicker as you push into the interior. But oddly, you notice that the air is oddly warm, to the point that there's wisps of fog that hang thin and motionless in the air, as though, whereas you're used now to seeing your own breath, but this is just the natural moistness of the air hanging. Um, and Priestley mutters about the fact that, as he looks down at his film camera, because he's the Lexington cameraman. So he's brought a film camera, but he's looking at it. It's dark. I'm not going to get anything down here. To which Acacia replies, "Well, perhaps they don't need light." And after a little while, the narrow hall opens up into a lightless hemispherical chamber about 10 yards across, 5 yards high. The fog hanging in the room. And it's warmer still here. And by warm, I mean we're almost up at melting. We're almost up at freezing at this point. Which, given that you're in full-blown 30, 40 below Arctic parka gear, is a thing. There's another narrow archway that breaks the smooth curve of the dome to your left. Beyond it, yet another slick ramp of ice-covered black stone, crossed at intervals with thin, regular ridges that rise steeply this time upwards in a smooth curve. There's many signs of passage in here: scuffs, skid marks, countless triangular indentations around the edge of the chamber. Go ahead and make a track roll.
Unless it's desperately needed, I'm on the edge of the amount of luck I'd have to spend is really big. Also, now that the sounds no one wants to hear have stopped on my end, there is some stuff going on in the background. The oh, hello, cat. Did you find a mouse? Okay, so if you hear weird squeaking, there might there are shenanigans happening right now. There are two cats, and I think there might be a mouse. So I'm sorry if you hear death screams of a mouse. Um, When there's, I,
Adds atmosphere.
yeah.
That's
Um, I think I just kind of I feel like there's this there. Maybe Valentina because Valentina has been like in that same like barely on the edge of sanity thing, whereas Suze has been very calm. Others that like is it
Still good.
or maybe it's shared with both of them. It's sort of the is like that look of like is she just a little too calm about all of this? Like when she's like, oh well, they probably don't need light. Like there's that. Is this does this feel weird to anyone else? Kind of look like obviously we're in a group, can't really say anything, but there's the. Also, did not make the track roll.
Would a part or a extreme get anything
Valentine.
fantastic, Stefan?
just the regular is fine.
Okay.
Uh, Valentina is fairly certain, uh, or as certain as anybody with a 10 track can be, that at least some of those triangular, um, you're starting to think of as footprints of the elder things are recent. Um,
Fantastic.
you appear to be on the right track, as it were. And the hallway rises quite steeply in that smooth curve. Um, you reckon, looking sort of shining a torch up into it and so forth, probably getting as much as 60 feet without any breaks or side tunnels. So it's about a 30 degree incline. Um, now, the finger high stone ribs are been here for a long time, so they're quite rounded and broken. Even though they're laid out across about every hand's length or so, um, it's still quite difficult. And in the thin air up here, it's a struggle um, to get up. The first 15, the first three quarters is probably the worst because the air swirls with a really thick mist, and therefore the floor is covered with a thin film of new ice for most of it. So I'm going to have you roll either a luck or a climb roll.
Success on my climb.
Regular luck roll.
Yep. Let's see what Leonard gets up to.
Sorry, luck roll. I'm sorry, um, there
Luck.
we're having mouse adventures over here. I'm sorry. I'm gonna turn off my camera.
Okay.
Um,
Luck or climb, whichever's better.
okay. Probably my luck. We actually caught the mouse, and then it, got
Oh,
out of the box
yeah,
we
yeah,
got it
yep.
in.
Hmm.
Oh no.
We're trying to get it outside, away from the cats. Mostly so we don't have the guts tomorrow. Luck. Yes, he succeeds on his luck roll.
Okay.
I'll be back in
Yay!
a second.
Successes
Yep.
across the board.
Sounds good. Good luck. Um, so you managed to make it up without actually slipping too badly on the floor.
The crucifix. Jason Tate.
As you end up coming up to the final quarter of the climb up, uh, it is getting it is getting really warm now. Like we're talking 80 Fahrenheit warm, so 30 Celsius kind of warm. So you've gone from 30, 40 below Celsius to 30 above or 80 above in a climb of in the distance of maybe 200 yards, something like that.
If we had a scientist here, I'd ask them, could explain that. But well, I guess I can ask the anyone on the Lexington crew a scientist.
Well, yeah, you got Herr Dr. Meyer. Uh,
It's getting
he's
hot in here.
yes, well, clearly there must be some great source of heat in here somewhere. We should, but I suspect that it will be below us, and we need to go up. No, that's where I think we will find. Uh,
Seems most reasonable to me.
However, we should probably get out of these rather ungainly garments. I'm sure that you remember the briefings that getting sweaty in cold climates is the easiest way of getting a death sentence. No, and Suze, you know that just immediately that
Yeah.
you do not want any moisture around on your body in freezing temperatures.
Yeah.
That's a very good way of getting frostbite. Um, so you stop at the top of the ramp and remove the majority of your, at least the outer two layers, I would imagine, of your 3 or 4 layer outfits. So you're basically walking around in woolen underwear, as it were. By the time that you're vague, and even that's probably too much. But there's a lady around. Well, there's ladies around, and modesty is a thing after all. Um, and you do, but in doing so, um, what would it be? I'd say go ahead and make survival rolls. Doesn't really matter what kind of survival. If you've got any survival at all, roll it.
Failure.
All right. Let's see how Warwick does. Um. So that's a pretty bad roll. Should I spend 30 luck, or is
You're fine. Suze has got you. Suze has got you back.
thank you, Suze.
And so
Of course, that's what I'm here for.
um, Big Suze makes an interesting accidental discovery. In that, whilst she's busy disrobing and neatly folding up her outer garments in a pile to deal with the fact that it's now some it's now about 80 degrees plus as opposed to 40 degrees minus. Um, she's taken out her breathing tube to be able to properly unrobe. And she realizes that she's actually able to breathe without it. Now, the air is hot and damp, and there's this throat-catching foul musk, almost rotting flowers kind of smell to the air. But it appears, well, the air is still quite thin, there is a reasonable amount of oxygen present. And you have
Well,
a quick word with Head Dr. Maya, and he takes a cautious check and goes, "Yeah, yeah, I think we can safely be away from this rather uncomfortable oxygen and not have to carry quite so much weight, as well as saves the oxygen for when we return."
Stefan, I'm wearing that stone I found around my neck. Is that
Uh-huh.
acting any different or anything like that? Or is it warmer or
So far, no. Well, no, it's. You noticed it got a little bit warmer when you were all sort of closely gathered together down by the plane,
mm-hmm.
because they're that slight. So it would, the stone might have gotten to say 20 below in the outside air, being 40 below kind of settings. But right now, it doesn't appear to be any different.
Okay, I wasn't sure if something was changing with proximity to the
How,
tower or
however,
anything. So
um, you do recall, but it's only now that you're sort of thinking about it that you're realizing it. The stone did get warmer just before you ran into whatever that thing was below the city.
but it got warmer when we were all together too.
Yeah,
You said right by the
but
plane.
it got significantly warmer when you just before you met that thing down in the city. It got slightly warmer when you were all in
Okay,
a big huddle together.
so maybe it could be a monster detector if need be. We'll see.
It's certainly a theory that seems to be borne out by experience so far. So,
Okay, thank you.
um, so having disrobed somewhat, but staying within the bounds of 30s decency, uh, you keep on going up as it gets slightly easier as the air is now warm enough that the ice, you're not getting rime ice on the floor and so forth. And you see the ramp opening up into what appears to be a large chamber that seems to be dimly lit by a reddish glow. Um, you can see the edge of a sweeping domed ceiling inlaid with carvings in the, as Maya carefully raises his head into the glow, and you can hear over the silence his sharp intake of breath as he turns his head from side to side, his goggles glinting in the ruddy red light. Ah, Naya. Come look all around at you at history, my friends. This is magnificent. He pauses and pulls out a large boxy pistol from somewhere inside of his clothing. But let's go quietly, eh? And have your weapons ready.
I was just gonna say I do draw my pistol as well.
I don't remember if Warwick has something. I assume he has a pistol.
No, that's the wrong one. I think.
Nothing on his sheet, so that's gonna be up to you. If Yeah, I've got the combat. I've got the ability to use firearms and both handgun and shotgun, but I don't have anything on my sheet. So
I'll pull out
Nope,
my
that's the wrong one.
machete because I have a 38 revolver, but I'm not as good at it as my melee weapons.
Uh,
Now, if Warwick needs a gun, they can have a 38 revolver to borrow.
yeah, I mean, unless Stefan says I thinks he would have had one for other reasons, I just don't want to assume. So
Yeah.
all right, so he has a 38 right now, or
yep,
Susie's extra 38. Okay.
that sounds. Because even if you didn't have one before, I see no reason that you wouldn't have picked one up from the city camp before you flew up here.
Yeah, that's basically what I was figuring was there was a chance that essentially it's part of equipping for dangerous mission.
So you come into this domed circular chamber that's probably fully 100 feet or so across. Um, the arch of the dome rises from about 8 feet above the floor at the edges to a height of 40 feet in the center. There are 5 ramps that angle up into the chamber around the edge from below, uh, and a large shaft or pit that opens beneath the center of the dome. There's a narrow arched opening in the eastern wall. The air in here is hot and dry with a faint, foul, clinging odor. There's a ruddy glow that emanates from the central well, dimly illuminating the dome. And there's just enough light to see that every surface in the chamber is richly carved with bands and arabesques in the probably about the best representation you've seen of the Elder Thing artwork. The floor is a map cut in stone depicting the region around the tower as it might have looked in an age before the coming of the cold. The shadings that are done with subtle changes of texture rather than with color, the whole being executed with consummate skill and artistry. It's so vivid that at first glance the floor appears to be three-dimensional, as if you were looking down from the air and somehow about to descend into its depths. You can see the hills and valleys as well as the river. The room central well occupies what you reckon would be the site of the tower. And the tower itself is marked by a small. Oh, sorry, no. It's slightly offset. The tower itself is marked by a small, deeply incised symbol halfway towards the eastern doorway. So basically over here. There's other different symbols at various points around the rim. Um, as you look at the depiction of the mountains, you yet again struck by their symmetry. They're all the big mountains are identical in shape to one another and form a perfect pentacle around the central pit. Uh, and yet again, the arc of the dome is decorated in sweeping spiral bands that start at the edge and curve gracefully inward to a single large fresco at the center. The central figure is stark and powerful in its simplicity, depicting a tall, slender tower touching the skies with bolts of lightning while from a deep pit beneath it, an indecipherable knot-like form is the source for delicate lines that radiate outwards in all directions. There are a series of panels, murals, separated by tall banks of that dot-like elder thing writing. There is a yard-wide ramp that spirals steeply counterclockwise down the side of the shaft towards that red light. Continues on seemingly as long as you can see until you lose it in the glare. And you, Maya says, "Well, we should perhaps just take a moment just to see what we can learn from this." Um, so there's 3 spiral bands and 5 wall panels. Um, the first spiral band shows multiple scenes of battle between elder things and an enemy depicted only as a knot-like symbol surrounded by claws. Uh, in these, here you see that the elder things are winning very rarely, and the enemy frequently flees upward where the things can't follow. You see the enemy's numbers growing and the number of the elder things dwindle. Then on the next spiral band, you see 5 things standing before a crowd. Above them, great shapes and symbols gather. Lines of force spear into the shapes. Then on the next frame, a trio of pentacles is shown containing the shapes with lines of force radiating outward. Then the same shapes are shown caught within boxes held by the things. Then the shapes in boxes are held by a group of flying elder things at the edge of a battle, with lines of force radiating outwards to touch many of the enemies where they that seemingly fall. And you see that now that they seemingly have these things in boxes, the elder things start winning a lot more. On the third spiral band, there's many small frames and panels that show scenes of immense constructions. Um, Strange mists dissolve stone into fog. Rivers of lava are teased into new forms. Mountains are raised and molded. Great angular shapes are grown out of the air. Mile-deep pits and continent-spanning tunnels being dug. A huge complex of angles and buildings and lines of force grows slowly over the several frames. The largest piece is seemingly miles tall, sunken into mountainsides, and laid in intricate patterns beneath the soil. Lines and webs of force laid down in layer after layer as hundreds of elder things gesture in unison again and again. And here you see the tower itself in the last few frames. It's tiny, perched at the edge of a huge pit that delves into the world's very heart. And from there, you go on to the first wall panel where the immense machines are shown working. Lines and waves of force spray outwards in all directions from the artificial mountains. And many strange symbols are drawn down the lines and into the great pit. Lots of elder things with symbols in boxes, wielding them against the enemy in victory, in victory, in victory. The second panel begins much like the first. Um, But this time, the symbol that follows the lines into the pit is huge and tangled and deeply carved, many times the size of the rest, dwarfing even the mountains. It comes down above the pit like a descending moon. The lines of force are heavy and dark, and over several frames, the symbol is drawn into the pit and shown wrapped in countless bindings of force. But the mountains nearby topple and are torn apart. The ground splits in countless places, and the lines of force from the great symbol reach outward and entwine themselves around the tower and the base of the pit like two mighty wrestlers that are evenly matched. The symbol strains upwards, the pit pulls down, and you go on to panel 3, where the symbol and the pit are very small and off to one side. Thick lines of force radiate out from them and weave all throughout the remaining frames. It's like all the frames and scenes are tied to this one struggle between the pit and the symbol. All the other frames around here show devastation, disaster, great waves crushing cities, cracks tearing open in the earth, vast ranges of volcanoes bursting upwards overnight. A mighty comet hurtles from the sky and smashes into the sea. The sun disappears. All the plants everywhere die. In every frame, there's elder things shown making a singular gesture with widespread limbs that can only indicate great distress. And the last few frames show elder things building new cities, but squat functional things, simpler and heavier than the ones before. When you go on to panel 4, where you see 5 elder things shown standing before a crowd in the manner reminiscent of the start of Band 2. The symbol floats above them. In the distance, you can see the mountains. Yet again, you have that conflict between the pit and the symbol, where in one frame the symbol breaks free and the world is torn apart. You see things in small groups drawing diagrams, plants, animals. A number of towers are shown, each containing different groups of cipher dots. And a final large frame shows the tower and the pit surrounded by a great forest of tall, thick, alien-looking trees that surround the site and grow all throughout the tower as well as around. And then there's the final panel, a map showing a very different Antarctica. You've got the valley at its center, with the mountains and the other features sketched in quite economically. A large number of deep, straight lines radiate outwards from here. 3 of these are hundreds in miles long and terminate off to the coast in various places. Others end in the middle of nowhere. Ah, so, as Hermione says, and he wanders over and takes a look out the eastern exit. Goes, a ramp leading up. Well, they are winged creatures. They probably prefer the heights. I suggest we go this way.
Makes sense to me, Doctor.
Man, it's too bad Stoddard isn't here to see this. This seems like something he'd really like.
You're
I
right. Stodgy would have loved this.
I think I'm pretty happy just knowing about engines at this point.
Valentino would ask the question: is this thing down the middle probably the power source then? Kind of pointing at the orb down below.
Yeah, and Priest is standing there, shaking his head, saying, "Oh yeah, and the upper tower is a ruin, and the monsters left their coats at the door. No, if they're here, they're down there where it's warmer." My turn is this: you may do as you like. I suggest if you go down there, you do not go alone. For myself, I am certain that the answers lie above. Madam, turning to Lexington, will you join me? Albert, all right, don't say it. I'll come along. It'd be stupid to split the group in a place like this. But if you ask me, we're all idiots to follow him like the Pete Piper just because of some century-old story. At which point Maya just looks coldly at Priestley. But it doesn't matter. I have now nothing to hide. You know about the story. Perhaps one of you are the little thief who's been stealing my things. Perhaps you're all thieves together. I'm sorry to hear of this, Fräulein Lexington. I had thought better of you. However, we are here to rescue James Starkweather, and your squabbling is wasting our time to do so. I believe he'll be found in Pym's temple upstairs, where the monsters will feed him to their god if they have not done so already. I go now to find him. You can do what you will. And he turns and disappears up the arch. Up to the east.
Alrighty then.
Seems reasonable to me.
Yeah, we better follow him. He seems to have read that document. I'm guessing that's where Dyer stole it from.
And the ramp continues for about a full circle in a tight spiral up through the middle of the tower. As chamber is you get to a place where the walls of the tunnel open up as the ramp climbs between five immense vertical chambers that fan out from the tower's core like petals from a flower. They're filled with. Actually, it's not that one. It is. That one. Um, The chambers themselves are filled with a complex lattice work of crystals, which weave together in arcane and orderly arrays. Light that shines into it is caught, turned, and reflected back in 1,000 prismatic sprays of muted color. It's breathtakingly beautiful and utterly alien all at the same time. Um, there is, as you make your way up in here, there is a sense of this great watchful pressure from all sides. You start hearing echoes and whispers that aren't there. You see shapes moving in the darkness at the edges of your vision.
I think I'm gonna need to take a sample of this crystal with us.
Absolutely.
I'm not
Sue's.
gonna go real deep, but I'm gonna try to break a small piece that's near the
Mhm. Yep.
walkway.
So, as Suze makes her way into the weave and the web, you see a faint nimbus of dark blue light arcing and washing across her body. And go ahead and make a power roll.
All right. Where'd I go? There we go. That's a extreme success. Apparently, Sue secretly has that dog armor.
Mm-hmm. And Valentina, you realize that um, five-sided stone that you're carrying is getting on for body heat, body warm, as opposed to cool like where it was elsewhere. So even given the heat of and the oppressive humidity of the air, it stayed quite cool until now when you come up into this area.
Valentina's gonna slowly cock the hammer back on the 32 she's got, or 38, and just kind of look around for anything more odd than the purple crystals. Any movement, anything.
Absolutely. So, Susan, um,
Yes.
it turns out that this crystalline substance, at least at first glance or first attempts, is rather strong. As in, it's quite capable of holding your weight, seemingly. So I'm wondering what might you be doing, or what might you be using to attempt to break a piece off?
Oh, see, here's the trick. Let me look at Sue's skills. We don't have a geologist here, do we?
Look,
Take
look.
that as a no.
Stoddard is a paleontologist. It's different.
No, I
I don't
get it, but if
believe.
we had a geologist, they would understand cleavage and be able to tell me where to hit this son of a bitch. Can I use natural world to properly have a basic understanding of how to break these?
I think you can. If you make a natural world roll, I might give you a bonus die on a strength roll or a
Not a success.
yeah. So go ahead and just make
I
an
did not succeed.
well. I'm not going to impose a penalty die at any rate. That would be a fumble, I think. Um, so I would say go ahead and make an unarmed attack roll.
Oh, so brawl, fighting brawl.
Fighting roll, yeah. Why not? Try, assuming you're just trying to break off a piece.
That's a success.
Okay. Um, so I believe you do a D3 plus a D6, something like that.
Yep. Sheet. Combat. Did that roll the whole thing? Yep. So 7 points of damage.
Okay. So Susan walks in, shakes her head a little bit, and reaches down and goes to try to break off a piece of this crystalline substance. Um, you hear her groan with effort, and there's a slight you hear a crack, but not only a crack. It's as though the crack causes sets a vibration off in the entire structure of the entire five room opening, as all the crystal as one sings out in a pure musical note. And I would like Suze to make another power roll, please.
Reasonable.
Yeah.
Uh, that's a that's another extreme.
Yep. So, given that as that note rings out and just suffuses everybody's brain, I'm going to have Leonard and Valentina also make power rolls, please.
Sorry, team.
Oh, I'm sure this will go fine. I think my dice were broken.
So that's a 91. I have a feeling that's probably a bad time to fail, but I don't think
Do you
that's a
need one of
lot.
us for you, Valentina?
Yeah. Roll a D100 for me, will you?
Yeah, sure.
No, that's not gonna do it.
I rolled an 89.
Yeah, that's a failure.
So, whilst for Suze, the sensations of pressure and the chattering of the voices, the flickering visions grow ever louder and persistent, and you start feeling waves of something thick and unnatural pushing through your body. You're perfectly fine to do whatever, keep moving.
Sure.
However, Leonard and Valentina are not as fortunate. For you, the sensations of distortion and the surging, pulling fingers moving through your bodies rise beyond all controls. Senses, thoughts run like water and are just lost. You fall down where you stand, twitching, spasming. Go ahead and roll a d3 each.
Go ahead and roll for me, Suze.
That's a 1 for Stoddard. For Warwick.
Yep. Two for
That's a 2-4, Val.
Tina. Okay. Um, so now I need you each to make a sanity check. So sorry, Valentina. I know you are. We'll have to keep. Ooh.
Off by 1. And I can't spend luck on that. I'm off by 1. Screwed.
I rolled up 55 for you, Val.
Oh, it's a failure. It's
Yeah.
fine.
So you each take a d8, but I'm guessing that Valentina will do shenanigans.
I will, but we got to see how much I'm going to lose here. Do you want to roll me a d8, Suze? I don't know where I have a set of dice.
I don't know if you want me to keep rolling for you.
Oh, no, it's fine.
I've been rolling great for myself, but absolutely atrocious for you.
Give me an 8. Come on.
So Warwick's lost 12 sanity points today.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably on the ground screaming, "Don't touch me." But I think you said I don't.
Yeah, I got you an 8, Val.
Sweet.
I basically don't end up picking up another derangement because it's just the same one keeps rolling.
Yes.
Okay. Because
Although,
I feel like I have lost a third of my sanity at this point.
yeah,
So that's why I'm making sure, because I'm like, I feel like there should be another break here.
and it's odd you should say that because you do fall blissfully unconscious.
So, I failed the sanity check, but spent luck to get the sanity loss to go away. However, I would have an involuntary action, and I had a cocked revolver in my hand. So I would imagine that's going to go off
Yeah.
and shoot somewhere towards these things. So what happens, I don't know, but I would fall unconscious, I'm guessing.
You do end up falling unconscious at the end of it, and I think if we can impose on Tomboy to hope that they get their dice mojo back, and so, just a regular, just uh, a handgun check. So a regular percentage dice. Let's see how good we can make this.
Oh. I mean, maybe Valentina actually shoots Big Suze as she falls down. Come on.
Nope, failure.
74.
Yeah. So a shot rings out and bullet bounces off the stonework somewhere. Doesn't really manage to chip anything. And so, with two of the party members lying unconscious on the floor, with a loud crystal gong essentially having just gone off, I think this is where we take our leave of the party for tonight and see what will come of all of this. So, thank you all for watching, and we will see you next time.